Are you thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, but you don't know where to start? Have you searched for a realtor who will be nearby when they are needed, who will answer your calls and emails, who will go the extra mile to ensure your every need is met, who will help you with sourcing and supplying contractors while negotiating the best deal possible? Do you need a realtor who does not believe in high-pressure sales tactics or other gimmicks? Then you need me. My name is Steve Roy, and I offer a full-service professional sales and customized marketing package for my clients. I am helping clients with buying, selling, and investing. I will build a custom plan to fit your needs. I will work closely with you to ensure that you achieve your goals. My services include not only an analysis of your local market and correct pricing, but I will also help you to prepare your home for sale and make it look as desirable as possible to buyers by providing expert advice, using professional quality photographs, and compelling descriptions. Let me help you minimize cost and maximize your profits. Call me today, 207-649-8522.
And I came here in 1986 to run it for myself, and I signed the papers, and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Maybe you learn in proportion to how much you listen and care. If you can find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and can resonate with people, and actually to some extent help people. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
I think everyone's here. All right. Good evening. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. If anybody would like an agenda, they are in the plastic sleeve out back. Before we go any farther, I'll ask our chairman to please stand and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And first up tonight, I have a proclamation, and this is concerning National Nursing Home Week. There's been a lot of proclamations. Whereas interest in and understanding of the long-term care delivery system has become increasingly important due to the growing number of elderly and disabled Americans. And whereas long-term care providers are dedicated to providing quality care and education to citizens in their communities about the quality of long-term care services available. And whereas the reform of America's healthcare system is a major concern for nursing facility residents, their families, and staff, and the American public in general. And whereas the members of the American Healthcare Association and the Waterville Elks Lodge proudly sponsor National Nursing Home Week 2017 and invite the citizens of Waterville, Maine to visit nursing facilities to benefit from the knowledge and experience of their residents, family members, volunteers, and staff. And whereas it is appropriate that the City of Waterville recognize the importance of our local long-term care facilities and the value of their services, not only our aging citizens, but also for their families. Now, therefore, I, Nick Yisgrove, Mayor of the City of Waterville, hereby proclaim the week of May 14th to 20th to be National Nursing Home Week in this community, and urge all citizens to support the quality of life in nursing facilities by visiting the residents of the facilities and by learning more about long-term care in the community. And actually, Mike and I just had the chance to do that recently, and I would encourage you all to do so. We have some great resources right here in the city, and we're very lucky to be so close for family members who utilize those. Is there anybody here to collect this? I don't always know. We'll save that. Next up is community notes. Community notes is a time where if anybody has something they would like to say, and I know Representative Longstaff here coming up, that is not currently on the agenda to be discussed. Now would be the time to do it. One thing we do want to start trying to do is we are going to have plenty of time for debate on our public budget, so this is not the time to 10 people come up and say, well, we want the mill rate to stay flat, and 10 people come up and say, well, we want more money for schools. It's okay, keep it brief if that is your point, but what we don't want is for the community notes section to kind of devolve into a time of public debate, which it somewhat has, because there are people who are here for city business, and we want to make sure that we are able to address their business. If there are people who still feel they need something to say on those topics, I am happy to stay after and to hear those things. And I know first up, Representative Longstaff has asked for a moment, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, citizens of Waterville. I am, in fact, Tom Longstaff, a resident of Ward 6, and I also represent the people of House District 109, the southern part of the city of Waterville. As you know, the governor has proposed a budget, and the legislature is now working hard to find a compromise that will have the support necessary to put the best budget that we can into effect for the next 2 years. The budget will probably not be finalized until mid-June, and so it's too early tonight to report specific details about such things as taxes, revenue sharing, support for the schools, and many other things that concern all of us. But having said that, our local delegation will engage in a community conversation about our priorities for the biennial budget, and we hope that many of you and others will join us for this conversation next Monday, May 8th, at the Waterville Senior High School from 5:30 until 7:30 in the evening. Representative Colleen Madigan of Waterville, Representative Kathy Nadeau of Winslow, and I all plan to be there, and we will be joined by the Assistant Senate Majority, the Assistant Senate Minority Leader Nate Libby, and the Assistant House Majority Leader Representative Jared Golden. As we move forward with the budget negotiations, our plans call for the largest property tax cut in Maine history, investment in jobs in the economy, and the full 50% of funding for our public schools. We also hope to make college degrees more affordable and attainable, to provide better support for families, seniors, children, veterans, and to provide meaningful student debt relief. We also hope to do this without making unnecessary cuts and without introducing new taxes. In fact, the only program that's new on our list, the only question is how to fund it, is support for some of the aspects of the community college system. Now, the list sounds like a lot of promises, and in a sense, it is, but they aren't empty promises. Can we do it all? Probably not, but there's a lot that we can do. We're beginning to see some of the results of the economic revival, and while the current budget will close with a $17 million deficit, the projections for the next 2 years, which came out this morning, show that we will likely see substantially more, that is, about $180 million more than we had available in the cycle now ending. If these figures hold, I'd like to see that money flow down to the municipalities where it can be used primarily to reduce local property taxes. And so, as we move into the final weeks of our budget compromises, and it will be that, there are a lot of us to argue over details in the budget, these are some of our major priorities. But we'll have more to say about that on Monday. And so, very quickly, I just want to say that I hope that many of you and others will join us at the Waterville Senior High School auditorium next Monday. We'll have brief comments from the legislators and the leaders who are present, but then we really want to move to a question and answer period. As I said, this isn't a time really for promises, certainly not a time for specific information about the budget, but it's a time for us to share our priorities, and even more than that, a time to listen to you and how you think we can move forward toward an attainable, workable compromise. So please, let your voices be heard, and if you can be there on Monday, join us at the high school. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else for community notes?
I'm Scott Markin. I'm here with Healthy Waterville Food Waste and Recovery Team. I'm the team leader. I'd like to invite everybody on May 11th at the Farmers Market, which is, we're doing this in coalition with Maine Compost Week. We're going to be hosting the Purple Bag Savings Challenge. Give a rough idea of what that is. Contestants are going to be given a City of Waterville purple bag filled with all the stuff that you guys would actually put in your household in your bag before you would recycle. Then you're going to be timed, and you're going to have to take your bag, you're going to be bins, and you're going to have to put all these items that's in this bag into corresponding bins, like paper, plastic, cardboard, compostables, and then when you're done, you will then bring the bag back. Before you start, the bag is going to be weighed, so you know how much. And then when you're finished, you will bring the bag back to us. We're going to weigh it. Now, you're going to have to try to guess within 5 pounds of how much you think you reduced your waste in your bag to win points. Now, you're actually going to be able to get 3 points if you can empty your bag in under 1 minute, if you can put all the recyclables and everything in its proper containers, and if you can guess your weight, the weight of the new bag within 5 pounds, you're actually going to get the points actually correspond to spins on a wheel, and there's going to be 3 prizes on the wheel for discounts to be used that day at the market. So it's going to be, please come down. It's going to be a fun little challenge. It'll be educational and probably eye-opening to figure, you know, there's a lot of stuff that can actually be recycled and composted that we actually don't realize what it is. And also I'd like to especially invite Mike Roy, the mayor, and the council members to please come down, take the challenge. It's going to be fun. Like I said, it'll be May 11th, right over here at the Farmers Market. Thank you. Probably, I would say at least till 4:35. It all depends on what we have for response.
Yeah, my name is Bill Bassford. I live in Ward 6. Last summer during the budget debate, we were told by the Public Works Department that they had money in the budget to replace 19 of the biggest streetlights over in the concourse. So I'm happy to report that this week, less than 9 months later, the upgrades are being done. And I checked last year with Efficiency Maine, and I was told that as long as the city owned everything, the poles and the lamps and everything, the city is eligible for the incentives from Efficiency Maine. So I hope we are getting those. Also, because the energy savings are probably more than half for these upgrades, I hope the city can upgrade the other 180 or so city-owned streetlights sooner rather than later to reap the energy and dollar savings as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hello, Scott Taylor, Ward 4, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Waterville Public Schools. Being mindful of the mayor's comments, I'll be very brief. I just wanted to draw the council's and indeed the city's attention to numbers released by the Maine GOP, which show that Waterville and AOS 92 essentially spend the least per pupil on administration out of all school districts in Maine. I have a handout to that effect, which I'll share with you. Thank you.
And I would just note, actually, our superintendent pointed Mike and I to some numbers today in the data, whatever the data resource is that breaks down the cost per student. I can't remember the name of the site on the DOE. And actually what we found is the numbers that we have regarding our AOS, so it's the superintendent's office, is actually one of the lowest in the state, but that is separate in the cost per student from our administration within the district. Just want to make sure, because sometimes people hear administration, they lump the two together. Thank you.
Hi, Brad Sherwood from District 5. I'm not going to state any positions concerning the budget and taxation. I'm just going to hand out some fact sheets just on the cost per student and also property tax rates. Just one note for what Nick was saying, though. One thing to remember is that, like, when we did consolidate, the transportation director cost now is split between the different schools. So Waterville's transportation director cost probably went less, is lower than it used to be.
Good evening. I'm Karen Heck, Ward 6. Given what we just heard about the budget not being ready until June, I'm wondering, and I know I talked with the mayor last week about this, but whether the council is considering putting off the budget until we actually know the numbers, because it seems like it would be a lot more productive to do that. So I'm wondering if there's any sense of the council about whether that's something you're considering. Or
Well, you know
you
what
wanna
my
think-
thought is.
I know what your thought is. So
I think it would be prudent to wait to pass our final vote when we have actual numbers.
I agree.
And I believe
agree.
that's the feeling.
I have also spoken to the city manager in agreement to that effect.
great, good. Well, I think it would just be a lot more productive. Thank you all.
Thank you for your concern.
Is there anybody else for community notes?
Can we take a moment on the council to see if there's going to be any conflict with any of tonight's votes, please?
Yes, I, as a employee of Colby College, will be abstaining from Order 58, 2017.
As will I, for the same reason.
I will be abstaining as well from Order 58, 2017 as an employee of any council.
Okay, we'll move on. Can I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we'll move on to unfinished business, Order 58, 2017.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
Second.
I try to get a vote when I can. All those in favor?
An order providing
Oh,
for
wait.
a lease for parking spaces Front Street.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
Just wanted to point out to counselors, the only difference in the lease that was mailed to you on Friday and the final is the Exhibit A that you just got passed out to, which shows that those 30 spaces for which are being rented for a little over $10,000, 29 of them are in the front row. There aren't 30 spaces, so there's one more space, the 30th, in the extreme southeastern corner of the parking lot. And then the only other change that needed to be made was on the first page of the lease to make it clear that it's not 30 contiguous spaces, it's 29 contiguous spaces, and the 30th space, again, is in the southeast corner of the parking lot. So,
Any questions or discussion from the council? From the public? All right. Patty, can I get a roll call?
Counselor Soul,
Yes.
Counselor Mayu,
Yes.
Counselor Tate. Oh, you're
Abstain.
Sorry. Counselor White, did I skip you?
Yeah, you
So
did.
Sorry.
Yes.
Counselor Dupont,
Yes.
there's 4 in favor and 0 opposed. Did I get everyone I was supposed to?
Okay, resolution 75, 2017.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Is there a vote on the title only?
Second.
All those in
All
favor?
Discussion on that, yes.
Is there discussion on this?
You go, Mike, first.
This was in regards to the Eldon, so-called Eldon Inn parking lot. I
Thank you, yeah.
attached a very short memo with the agenda item that reports that the parking committee met last week and voted unanimously to recommend to you not to sell the lot, nor to lease it. And then they took another vote recommending that the city develop it as soon as possible for public parking. There was quite a bit of debate and discussion.
There was, and I'm just going to add to that because I was there.
That's right.
And these are really prominent business people that are in our community. that are part of the parking committee. And they, pretty much felt the same way that obviously Mike did, and I concur with that, it is appropriate for the city to retain the rights to this parking lot, especially in light of what is happening with the Kobe Dome and the concern over the lost parking spaces. This is a parking area that can really be developed and can really be of use to businesses and housing and retail, commercial, that are in that particular area that are in dire need of that parking. So I would recommend that the city retain rights to that property as well.
Mike, out of curiosity, how much area of pavement are we talking? I mean, would it need to be completely rebuilt, or are we talking an overlay?
I think it needs a surface coat of gravel before pavement happens. I think the base is pretty good, because they put in quite a bit of gravel when they demolished the old hotel there, Eldon Inn Hotel, and filled it in. So I think with another, light coat of surface gravel, it'll take pavement fine.
Thank you.
I think it's going to give us an extra 16 spots. The owner of the building, right in front of the parking lot, between the parking lot and Main Street, has deeded rights for 8 spaces. But the way we looked at it, there should be an additional 16 that we can get there,
Exactly.
which are going to end up being very, very important.
I would just like to comment, as much as I personally agree that you should go vote with the recommendation of the parking committee, that's why we have the parking committee, I would like to thank the private citizens and business owners who came forward with a respectable offer to try to,
Right.
it was a solid offer to try to solve some of these problems, and whether you vote on it or night, we are thankful that people are thinking of these things and trying to be part of those solutions. So I think it's important to mention that and have that on the record, that it was a respectable offer and an attempt to help us solve our problems.
And by going through that offer, we learned a lot more about the needs for parking, especially in the, well, I don't know what you call it, Bruce, I call it the professional building, especially all the needs for the tenants in that building.
Yeah, well, I think the north section of the Concourse,
Yeah.
north section of Main Street, just not us, it's the other businesses on that corner.
On that corner.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come up and speak to this, or are we ready for a vote? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fowler from the Sidney H. Geller Trust, and as you know, I'm the one that brought the motion in front of you for the trust to purchase the property. And after going through this very healthy discussion with some individuals and the committees, we are going to withdraw our offer, because if the city wants to develop it as public parking, we do not want to stand in the way of that. We're just excited that it's going to be developed as parking. And when we started out, we didn't think that it was going to be, and that's why we brought our offer forward. So, and if anyone has any questions, or if I can work with anyone towards making that happen, then please get a hold of me.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Just to be clear, the motion tonight is strictly just whether or not we're going to sell the withdrawn
Correct.
contract, not anything about developing or allocating
Not
any
sell.
funds.
Right.
Okay.
It's a clean no.
Okay.
Exactly, clean no.
And this is a resolution, so we don't need a roll call, so I will just say all those in favor.
Wait,
In favor is,
yeah, but if he's withdrawn the motion, do we need to vote on
If you
it?
make a motion to postpone indefinitely, it'll kill the resolution. and-
Motion to postpone indefinitely.
Second.
all in favor? New business, resolution 77, 2017.
A resolution providing for payment to the Central Maine Growth Council. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as fiscal officers as follows, that an amount of $2,000 received from the city from Flemish Master Weavers be paid to the Central Maine Growth Council.
Second motion to
I'll
adopt.
motion to accept.
Second.
Michael.
I was reading.
Well, I stand to recommend that you approve the transfer of this money The only reason we have the $2,000, it's an application fee, but the only reason we have it is because of the work of the Growth Council regarding our foreign trade zone. So Garvin and Kim at the Chamber both work very, very hard to promote the foreign trade zone, not only in our area, but really over a huge area, because in fact, this company is from Saco. And I think it's going to be a very good thing for our zone, and this is just the start of it. So we need to make sure that they can keep working on our behalf, so I recommend that we transfer the $2,000 to them.
Was this something that was agreed upon last year, I'm assuming, when we were talking about it?
Well, yes, I mean, the council didn't take any formal vote at that time, but I think it was pretty much understood. We're not putting any money in. We don't have any money to put in to market the zone. If you can do the marketing for us as part of what the Growth Council does, and we get anything, we'll give you back the money to help market more.
Understanding some of the grant applications in the process, $2,000 to have somebody put this together is pretty reasonable.
It is, yeah.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Next, Resolution 78, 2017.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
A resolution providing for authorizing issuance of a secondhand license to Shauna Murray doing business as Downtown Home Decor.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Resolution 79, 2017.
A resolution providing for authorizing issuance of a victualer's license to P-Lot Enterprises Incorporating doing business as Sweet Frog. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that the City Council hereby authorize the issuance of a victualer's license to P-Lot Enterprises Incorporated doing business as Sweet Frog, 14 Waterville Commons Drive.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And Patty, what's the one where we have to move?
That'll be at the end. I missed one of the victualer's licenses that actually got their application in time, but I failed to put it up on the agenda page.
Okay.
So we'll just waive cloture just to make sure there's no issue with it.
We'll do
That's at the
that.
end.
We'll do that at the end, okay.
Yep.
Next, Resolution 80, 2017.
A resolution of support for Waterville Creates. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that the City Council hereby declares its support for the Waterville Cultural Blueprint developed by Waterville Creates with input and participation from its partner institutions and the general public. And be it further resolved that the council is fully supportive of the ongoing work by Waterville Creates to develop and administer guidelines for the installation, maintenance, relocation, and commission of public art in the City of Waterville.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. And we have a little presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Shannon Haynes. I'm the President and CEO of Waterville Creates. And I'm here tonight to present to you the Waterville Cultural Blueprint. This is a cultural plan that's been in development for a year and a half, and we're really excited to present it for the first time publicly to you all tonight. I'm happy to say that we aren't looking for support in terms of funding. We're looking for support in terms of endorsement of our work. So I'm going to walk you through this blueprint. This cultural blueprint was started in the fall of 2015. A grant was received by Waterville Main Street to collaborate with Waterville Creates to undertake an extensive cultural planning process with the community. And it was launched in 5 phases. So the first phase was to conduct initial research, and that meant looking at existing plans, including the city's comprehensive plan, to inform the future work. And one common theme was found throughout all of the plans, including the Central Maine Growth Council's plan, KV-COG's plans, and that is the importance of creative placemaking to the economic future of Waterville and the region. So that really was a good start for us for this cultural planning process. We then went into a qualitative data collection process where we had 4 community conversations, 2 of which were held in this building. One was held at Colby College and one was held at the South End Teen Center. And so that's where we just collected people's feedback and thoughts on arts and culture in Waterville and how we could best advance and expand arts and culture. From there, we went on to a quantitative data collection process where we did 3 different surveys: surveys of organizations, surveys of artists, and surveys of the general public. Those were distributed through all of the arts and cultural institutions in Waterville and at various community locations. We had outstanding participation in those surveys. From the survey work, we then moved on to the identification of priorities that were indicated by the data. So we were working with consultants who came up with some recommendations from that data and then presented them again in public forums to get general public feedback on our direction. And then the final step was working with the consultants and Waterville Creates to finalize the goals, strategies, and objectives that make up the plan that you all have in its entirety, I believe, in your packet. So I'm not planning to walk you through the entire cultural plan, but I will just do a high-level sort of summary of the major goals of the plan. I also want to point out that, as all of you know, the city recently adopted a downtown revitalization strategy that included arts and culture as a key strategy for advancing the city of Waterville and the region. And below that strategy indicated support for Waterville Creates and its work. And so I just want you to know that this cultural blueprint really is sort of one of the roadmaps that we will be leaning on heavily in the next 2 to 3 years as we move forward in our work as an organization. So the first goal that came out of the plan was what we're calling Amplify. As all of you know, Waterville has amazing cultural assets that any community in the state would be lucky to have. We have the largest art museum in the state, the largest, longest running film festival, the only Sundance Art House Theater, a Carnegie Library, historic opera house, just some really incredible assets. So through this Amplify goal, it's our job to tell the rest of the world about it, to market Waterville as an arts and cultural destination, and to also market these assets locally to our residents and our community members. And then finally, to even further the outstanding programming we already have through collaborative partnerships between these institutions. The second goal is integration. So integration of arts in everyday life. I really like how this was worded, to provide diverse encounters with art, culture, and creativity in the public realm. So this means everything from public art to public performances in Costangway Square, just so that art is everywhere. So that's the goal of this, is to really integrate it into daily life and to also think about design aesthetic. So beautification efforts in the downtown would also fall under this goal. I will say that 90% of survey respondents indicated that public art was important to them. So this is a really important goal to us, and that's why we called it out specifically for your support. So increasing access and relevance, this really means expanding the participation and the kinds of programming that we offer. One of the things that we heard a lot of was that families in particular would participate more if things were free. So if things could be more affordable or free, so we're going to look at ways to do that, really address those financial barriers that people are having to participating in the arts. We also want to look at developing a program that's relevant to people by working with organizations that might be outside of arts and culture. So non-arts partners like the Alphon Youth Center and the South End Teen Center and the Muskie Center. How can we work with them to develop programming that's more relevant to sort of a non-traditional audience? And also under this goal is increasing arts education. That was something that across the board, all ages said they would like more access to arts education. Supporting creativity, this is really about supporting the individual. So supporting artists and supporting creative professionals by providing them with opportunities to network with the community and with each other. One of the goals that we really pulled out as a specific objective was to build upon Pachacacha, Waterville, which if any of you have been, I hope that all of you have been, is one of the most successful events I've seen come up in Waterville in the last several years, and it's something that we really want to continue to utilize as a tool to market Waterville and its creative professionals and its community. And then finally, under this goal is also to provide new employment, exhibition, and demonstration opportunities for artists themselves so that we can get more artists' work being seen and maybe more artists moving to the community. And then finally, of course, to make all of this happen, we need to develop a strong base of support, both financial and volunteer. So one of the things we're really interested in doing is providing professional development opportunities and developing a really strong core of nonprofit leadership for our arts institutions. We've already begun that work. We recently worked with Thomas to host a board boot camp at Thomas College, and it was sold out, and people loved it, and it really got local board members working with each other and talking about good board governance. A big part of this goal is also funding, so looking for creative ways to fund all of these projects and initiatives that I've outlined. So again, this is the high-level overview, but the final thing that I really want to say about this is that while Waterville Creates is the steward of this plan, we are not the only people that will be implementing it. As you've seen in your packet, we have tons of partners. They couldn't even fit on this slide, but this is a handful of them. So in addition to our arts and cultural partner organizations, places like the colleges, the hospitals, the youth center, community groups, Rotary, anybody who wants to work with us to advance these initiatives, we welcome their partnership. In closing, I just want to recognize the Waterville Creates staff who are here, because it's not just me. I have a great team. We have Patricia King, who's our vice president, Marie Sugden, who's our coordinator for special projects, and Nathan Town, who's our marketing manager. So they're an amazing team to have on board here. And I'm happy to take questions if anybody has them.
Well, thank you for all of the work you guys do. I know we were all excited, Shannon, when you came on board with Waterville Creates, and it certainly is a great team. I know everywhere we go in town, whenever there's a function, we always see some of you guys everywhere. You crop up everywhere we go, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say thank you to all of the staff and supporters. Waterville Creates, I think it's a tremendous asset, not just in terms of the programs and initiatives that you laid out here tonight, but also for our business community downtown. I know that the core businesses downtown really see a tremendous benefit from the kinds of programming that you guys provide and the people that you attract to our community, so thank you.
Great. Jackie, do you want to get the lights? We'll take a vote.
Can I ask a quick question? So the Colby College Museum of Art is a partner of Waterville Creates, and that is my employer. Like, does that create a conflict of interest that I want to support Waterville Creates, but can I vote? Can I vote, you think, Steve?
There's no financial
I don't think
issue
so.
here.
I don't think, there's no conflict. Great.
All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor? All right.
Motion to waive closure.
Motion to waive closure
On
resolution 81, 2017.
Second.
all in favor?
A resolution providing for issuance of a victualer's license to Teresa Dunn doing business as Jorgensen's Cafe. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows. That the City Council hereby authorize the issuance of a victualer's license to Teresa Dunn doing business as Jorgensen's Cafe, 103 Main Street.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Mike?
Well, the first item under the manager's report is a topic called Aging Well in Waterville. I'm very happy to introduce Kim Lane, and you did get something in your agenda packets from Kim. I'll let you take it.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't need to introduce myself. Mike just did that. But I do want to acknowledge committee members that are here, if you just don't mind raising your hands that made it this tonight. So we have a committee of about, well, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 15, depending on the time. We are here to basically we're not asking for money. I guess that's very important. So we're here to just ask for endorsement to become recognized as a city committee so that we can actually apply for grants. There's several grants that are coming out regarding aging. We are in the process of, we have a survey. We will, once we get endorsement, if we do, we were going to start the survey and get that out throughout the summer. We are looking at aging in Waterville, and it's not an age. When I say aging, there's not a certain limit. What we're finding is that there are many people in Waterville that are taking care of grandchildren. We are finding that there are some income, some poverty issues with different different people. We're finding that we've heard anecdotal, and that's what we want to do. We want to get away from that. We want data, that some people that sometimes crossing the lights on the crosswalks isn't quite enough time. Rather you're aging, rather you have a differing ability, rather you're pushing a baby carriage or having a 2-year-old. It's just not enough time. So we just want to get some information just so that we can sort of empower others and advocate for some of these changes. We're not looking for huge money things. We just want to see how the people in Waterville are doing in looking at aging for all populations. So we're asking tonight for an opportunity to be endorsed as a committee so that we can, you know, apply for these grants. We are one of over 30 communities there that is AARP certified for aging friendly.
No, Mike, do we just need to have a resolution on the next agenda to create a committee? Or is that what we would do?
Yeah, I mean, we've just did it last meeting for,
Right.
anyway, we've done it before.
Aging.
Can I ask a question about what this would mean about the the way the committee would be constituted? So if this was an official committee of the city of Waterville, would that mean that all appointments would go through?
It would not be guarded. It would not be guided by the charter.
Okay.
It's not a charter.
Okay, that was just my
Just
point
making
of
sure I don't get the
clarification.
appointments. Is it?
No, I just, because then we would have to vote on all of the
Sure.
existing members of the committee and
No.
to
It's a
ensure
good
that there
question.
was representation. I have nothing but the utmost confidence in your ability to choose memberships of the committee, Mr. Markey.
Yeah, no. All right.
Any other questions, concerns? Well, thank you.
Important topic, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, only 2 other items under the manager's report. One is a question about the ethics ordinance. The Ethics Committee finished their work a few weeks ago, brought you something, so I am going to put it on your agenda soon unless council has any decision for date certain. I guess I'd put it on the next agenda. Is that all right? Anybody object to that? No. We've got to start at some point, right?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Speaking of agendas, this is the last item I have, is the lineup for the remaining budget meetings. So for people here that are interested in our budget review, we're here next Tuesday night, and that is for the Public Works and Capital Improvements budgets. Then on the 23rd, May 23rd, we'll have our final budget review, the remaining city departments that we haven't covered yet. So after the 23rd, we essentially will have reviewed every single department budget. And so as you see on the schedule, there's a question mark about May 30th. Again, these are all Tuesdays. Every other Tuesday, we've been meeting on the budget. So we meet on the budget on the 9th, 23rd, the 30th. I've left open in the event the council wants to have a wrap-up meeting, Tuesday the 30th. June 6th, I mean, these are not set dates. These are just suggested dates. You could take a first vote on the budget on June 6th, or if the state picture is not any more clear on funding, we could always delay that vote until June 20th. But anyway, I'm just laying out dates so people can start thinking about the timing. Questions? So next Tuesday night is the Public Works budget, which is the second largest city budget after police, and then a very important budget, which is largely related to Public Works, and that's our capital improvements. So we will be here.
Can we make a decision regarding May 30th so we can put it in our calendars?
I guess my concern is, given what we've already discussed, is the sense of the council that we will not have the budget figures until mid-June. It seems
You're probably not going to get a lot of new information.
productive. I'm sorry? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're not going to have a lot of new information.
Yeah.
Right. We could meet May 30th, but without the final figures. That's your point. Not,
Yes.
I guess I
Yeah.
agree with you.
So I would say,
It would be June 13th, possibly?
Push it out, yeah.
possibly, yeah. And then could we even go so far as to say that the first proposed reading of the budget would be June 20th, and then
Yep, final vote after that.
Theoretically, at the final budget review meeting, we could be discussing the worst-case scenario in regards to the revenue side on the school budget, correct?
Correct. Right.
And then work from there. If we get more money, then obviously we can talk about where that money goes back, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the first budget vote is just a procedural thing. Just take one vote, and a lot can happen to that budget from the time you take a first vote to the second vote. But at least you've gotten one vote out of the way. So you take the first vote knowing that a lot could change by the time you get to a second and final.
The problem is, we ask all these good people here to take a vote, and then they go out on a budget they didn't think was final and get blasted in the streets about a mill increase that's not a final number.
Could be.
I think we should postpone. That's
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a very practical side of it.
Every now and again.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
The goal for Maine Network Initiative is to get people back to work and to help businesses stay afloat and grow and expand so that we can bring people to the state of Maine. Services available to job seekers range from one-on-one career advisement, career counseling, to providing assessment, laying out a career plan, and then also allocating and providing job training funding for education, certification programs, on-the-job training, work experience.
I found out about this program through our Maine General website. They had teamed up with the Career Center to bring students and Maine General employees together and make them aware that MAs are needed locally. And you could either, through a grant through the Career Center or Maine General, have the program paid for. The program was very achievable even with a young child at home and still having to work my daily job. The managers have helped with the scheduling piece of it, and the Career Center has helped with the cost of mileage, daycare due to being at class, and the equipment and supplies needed to perform the job as being a medical assistant. It helped me to achieve my goal in less time.
After I graduated, I decided that I was going to find a job that would start my career, that would make a name for myself. What I was eligible for was the ability to come in to Stark Systems and be able to be trained and learn processes.
We do provide funding for on-the-job training. We help provide services and support to develop apprenticeships and help a business utilize that so that they can expand or, again, stay afloat. We also have partnerships, collaborations across the state of Maine and in our local area. It's at no cost to the job seeker or the employer. There's a great website to go check out, maine.gov/MaineAtWork. Where they can tap into contacts, information, and resources.
Taylor's education gave him a good foundation, but obviously an education doesn't give you any practical experience in terms of what's required in the manufacturing environment. We brought Taylor as a candidate to Goodwill, who was administering one of these funding programs. And they vetted him and came back with an approval for funding. So based on that, we were able to move forward and bring him on.
Some of the protocols that are required by higher level industries, aerospace, avionics, semiconductors, automotive, they all follow very rigorous protocol in problem solving techniques. One of the greatest opportunities for the interns is to give them real-world experience, teach them some of the things that they don't get in the universities and colleges.
One of the things that we looked at years ago was to really take the notion of apprenticeship to a little bit of a different level. We have worked with the Department of Labor to develop the very first competency-based apprenticeship program in the country. So apprenticeship is kind of the core that our workforce development revolves around.
What we're encouraging businesses and job seekers to do is just simply reach out, let us know what they need, and we'll take it from there. Just go to maine.gov/Maine at Work.